Why do you laugh? BYD is trying to compete. Why do you laugh?
I don't think it's particularly attractive. The technology is not very strong. And BYD as a company has pretty severe problems in their home turf in China.
Right.
So I think their focus is and rightly should be on making sure they don't die in China.
曾经说过比亚迪在2025年会做世界第一。王总，您是不是吹牛啊？
So look, BYD just delivered 4.6 million vehicles in 2025, and man, this story is absolutely everywhere right now. All over the financial news, tech media, you name it. And here's the kicker. Tesla's name is right there in the headlines too. Why? Because for the first time ever, BYD's annual sales have actually overtaken Tesla. Yeah, you heard that right. BYD is now the global #1. I mean, CNN's headline really says it all. The world has a new EV king and it's not Tesla. Pretty wild, right? But here's where it gets really interesting. If we rewind the clock 14 years, I'm telling you, CNBC basically made Elon Musk eat his words. Back when Musk was younger and let's just say a bit more cocky, a reporter asked him if he'd ever heard of BYD, and his response? Man, it was dripping with arrogance. He basically said BYD shouldn't even be thinking about Tesla as their target. They should just focus on trying to survive in China at the time. Like, seriously? Let's take a look at that clip.
Although there's competitors now ramping up, and as you're familiar with BYD, which is also on the West Coast, I think they're ramping up production of their electric vehicles. Warren Buffett owns 10% stake in that. Why do you laugh? BYD is trying to compete. Why do you laugh?
Have you seen their car?
I have seen their cars, yes. In fact, at the Berkshire Hathaway meeting, I saw their cars.
Yeah.
Well, they are on a different, tell me why you're laughing. You don't see them at all as a competitor?
No.
Why is that? I mean, they offer a lower price point.
I don't think they have a great product.
Why is that?
I don't think it's particularly attractive. The technology is not very strong. And BYD as a company has pretty severe problems in their home turf in China.
Right.
So I think their focus is and rightly should be on making sure they don't die in China.
Okay. What about for you? When are you going to turn a profit on Tesla?
Well, we think probably 2013.
2013. Okay. Gathered ourselves, talked more a bit in the break about BYD, and you make a good point though, and I want you to say this, about BYD. What you're saying is that, even though the cars are going to be priced lower than yours, and they are, they have said that they are a competitor to you. That what you're saying is that, even if that's the case, that their cars are actually quite expensive for what you're getting. So why do you say that?
Yeah, something that surprised me was that when we priced the components, the various elements of the supply chain of the Model S, we found that China was uncompetitive. This is really surprising. I mean, I thought that we'd be sourcing a lot of components from China.
Right.
Almost none of the components in the Model S are sourced from China. In fact, we find California manufactured articles to be more cost-effective than China.
Why is this?
I don't know. It was a shock to me too.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because you would think that with cheap labor in China, that those parts would be cheaper. Okay. So you have no plans then to source in China in the future.
We're actually agnostic with respect to sourcing components. So we're happy to source components from the United States, Canada, Germany, Japan, and we do source a lot of components in Mexico. We source a lot of components from those countries.
Right.
But surprisingly, almost nothing from China. The Chinese components, remarkably, were more expensive.
But how much? How much more expensive?
On the order of 10% to 20%, something like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that's a huge difference.
Yeah. Now maybe due to logistics. You got to ship the stuff. It's a lot easier to ship a little iPhone than it is to ship some big heavy component. That may be a factor.
Okay.
Listening to Musk's mocking laughter now, it honestly still stings, There he was, sitting under Silicon Valley's spotlight, thinking BYD was just some struggling Chinese factory barely hanging on, like they weren't even worthy of being his competition. That classic American arrogance made him think he could predict just how miserably BYD would fail. But here's the thing. History absolutely loves messing with arrogant people, doesn't it? Now get this, 4 years before Musk was laughing his head off, which would be 18 years ago from now, BYD's CEO Wang Chuanfu was in front of cameras too. And he said something that, at the time, everyone thought was completely delusional. The host literally asked him if he was just making stuff up because Wang had made this incredibly specific prediction down to the exact year. He said BYD would become the world's #1 by 2025. And guys, pay attention here. By the end of 2025, BYD actually did it. I mean, how incredible is that? The underdog that nobody believed in actually defeated Silicon Valley's Iron Man. It's like something straight out of a movie, except this is real life. Now let's go back 18 years and hear how Wang responded to all those doubters back then.
曾经说过比亚迪在2025年会做世界第一。王总，您是不是吹牛啊？
这个问题呢，之所以会现在提出来，是因为我们看到比亚迪的业绩以后呢，会觉得稍微有一点点担心。
那么这个问题的话，你要这样去看，是吧？汽车发展已经是100年了没有变革，那么汽车需要变革，那么这是一个呼声，这是一个机会第二个机会的话呢，中国大家也知道已经是不争的事实了已经成为全球最大的汽车市场一个全球最大的汽车市场，我相信它应该能够抚养出一个全球最大的一个企业或者能够抚养出一个全球前3大的这么一个企业是吧？那么从这个意义上讲的话，你想，那么这样世界第一的企业应该是在哪？在全球最大的这个市场里面，在中国是吧？那么又是呢，汽车又要变革，变革的时候很容易产生重新洗牌的机会那比亚迪第一个，我们是在中国我们在中国第二个，比亚迪是做电池起家的，我们有世界领先的电池的技术。那么电动车瓶颈技术不就是电池吗？这个变革的瓶颈的障碍不就是电池吗？
这个恰恰是我们的强项。
对，你说的对。那么这2点的话这一点从这个意义上讲的话呢，比亚迪具有得天独厚的这个优势，再加上技术中国，加中国巨大的这个市场，让比亚迪成为这么一个目标的实现，成为可能。因此我认为不是吹。
Okay, so fast forward to 2025. Tesla's annual delivery numbers came in at 1.64 million vehicles. That's about an 8% drop from 2024. And get this, it's Tesla's second consecutive year of declining annual deliveries. Meanwhile, BYD sold 2.26 million electric vehicles in 2025, which is like a 28% jump from 2024. And here's something really important to point out. The US market isn't even open to Chinese EVs, so BYD hasn't even entered the American market, while China is actually Tesla's second largest market. Even with all that going for Tesla, BYD still managed to overtake them. Pretty remarkable, right? Now Tesla doesn't break down their sales by market when they release their data, they just give us a global total. But if you look at their reports, you can see that the US market alone accounts for nearly half of Tesla's deliveries. And that's a huge deal. What this means is that even with home field advantage, Tesla still lost the global sales crown. This whole power shift in the EV world has genuinely shocked Western media. I mean, for the longest time, Western outlets always looked at Chinese car companies through these, tinted glasses. But this time, faced with hard data they can't argue with, even old-school British media like the BBC had to put aside their bias and face reality. They not only acknowledged BYD's new king status, but their report actually cut right to the heart of why Tesla lost. Let's check out how the BBC broke this changing of the guard to their global audience.
Tesla has lost its position as the world's biggest seller of electric vehicles. The Chinese carmaker BYD is now in top spot after its sales rose by nearly 28% last year to 2.2 million. Its American rival, owned by Elon Musk, saw its car sales drop to 1.6 million in the same period. Theo Leggett reports.
It's the biggest car maker in China. Now it's taken Tesla's crown as the top seller of electric cars worldwide. And so far, there are no signs of the brakes coming on. A few years ago, BYD was almost unheard of outside China. Now it has 1,000 dealerships in Europe alone, and it plans to have another 1,000 by the end of this year. It's expanding aggressively worldwide, and it's trying to take market share by offering relatively sophisticated electric cars without a hefty price tag. It's proved a powerful combination, with sales of EVs rising 28% last year.
The proposition is electric cars at prices which regularly undercut European manufacturers. They can produce them more cheaply. That's very appealing. The biggest barrier to going electric is pricing.
Take over, Elon, just take over. Meanwhile, Tesla's sales have been falling. There's been controversy over the US firm's talismanic boss Elon Musk, whose political activities have polarized opinions. But it's also been criticized for failing to update its range quickly enough.
Tesla seems to have kind of forgotten the golden rule of the car industry, which is you don't stay new and exciting for very long. Tesla's had very long product cycles and has not been introducing new cars as rapidly as its competitors, especially its Chinese competitors.
China's faced criticism for providing its car makers with heavy subsidies, meaning Western brands struggle to compete on price. But cutthroat competition in the country's car market has also driven a race for new technologies. BYD's built this supercar that can drive itself and jump over obstacles. It's also developed a system that can give an electric car a full charge in just 5 minutes. But Tesla and its maverick boss may not be too worried.
With over 75% voting in favor. Approved.
Tesla's investors recently approved a massive pay packet for Elon Musk. It could be worth up to $1 trillion. That's because the company now seems far more concerned with developing self-driving taxis and humanoid robots than everyday runabouts, and Mr. Musk's leadership is still seen as essential. If he succeeds, the road ahead for Tesla could still prove highly profitable.
After watching that BBC report, I think a lot of people probably just see numbers changing hands. But for us as Chinese people, man, there's a whole different layer to the story. Think about it. Over these past few years, we've dealt with trade barriers, technology blockades, and the US market's doors have been slammed shut on Chinese EVs. BYD has been racing against a fully armed Tesla with one hand tied behind their back and one foot tied up. Tesla has the absolute protection of their home turf, crazy amounts of dollar capital backing them up. What does BYD have? They've got tens of thousands of engineers working around the clock, grinding it out. They've got countless unknown underdogs throughout the Chinese supply chain, just gritting their teeth and hanging on. I think the reason this victory feels so satisfying to us is because we've broken through this long-standing Western mythology. For decades, the Western world has had this arrogance, right? Thinking China could only make shirts and assemble phones, believing that the crown of high-tech would forever belong to Silicon Valley. Those jarring laughs from Musk 14 years ago, that represented this deeply rooted prejudice. They couldn't see your hard work. They could only see where you came from. But you know, we have this old saying in China, don't look down on young people for being poor. BYD was definitely poor back then. But it was exactly that desperation born from poverty that pushed Chinese car companies down the hardest road possible, fully self-developed vertical integration. You block our chips, we'll make them. You block our batteries, we'll make them. You mock us for having no design, we'll poach designers from Rolls-Royce and have them designed for us. This #1 spot in 2025 marks something huge. In the automotive industry, which is like the crown jewel of modern manufacturing, Chinese manufacturing has finally transformed from a follower into a leader. We no longer need to trade hundreds of millions of shirts for a single Boeing airplane. We've got our own pricing power now, our own technological moat. Wang Chuanfu kept his promise. But this isn't just his victory alone. This is the victory of countless Chinese companies like BYD who in the cold winds of deglobalization fought their way out through sheer capability, carving out a bloody path forward. At this moment, I think even Musk probably can't laugh anymore, because what he's facing now isn't that small workshop he could casually mock back then. It's an industrial giant backed by the wisdom and diligence of 1.4 billion people. This journey has been so incredibly difficult. This is Chinese resilience, you guys. No matter how late we started, no matter how thin our foundation was, as long as you give us time, as long as there's fair competition, we will eventually stand at the top of the world. BYD reaching the summit in 2025, this might just be the most exciting opening chapter of China's great technological voyage. And honestly, I think we're just getting started.